Welcome to Success Your Own Way, a podcast about how real people define and redefine success throughout their careers. Hosted by Tina Shurick and Ifat Rogers, this show features candid conversations with guests who've made intentional choices, navigated change, and built lives aligned to their values. Their guests share their stories as well as strategies and tactics that help them along the way. Tina's a certified coach and a former corporate leader who supports professionals in making confident, values-driven decisions. Ifat is a consultant with a background in food science and engineering, helping people solve complex problems with a practical, no-nonsense approach. Each episode offers inspiration and actionable insights for anyone rethinking what success looks like in their life and how to get there.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Success Your Own Way. Today, we are lucky to have Alex Popp joining us. And I'll turn it over to Ifat to introduce Alex.
Okay. Yeah. Alex Popp, an entrepreneur and permaculturist, designs regenerative systems for food, water, community, waste, and energy. He transforms landscapes and waste into sustainable, abundant solution for communities through his role as founder of PermaCulture Party, director of permaculture at Eden Energy, and food forest and edible garden expert at Neighborhood Forest. Alex is passionate about advancing nature-based and inspired solutions to empower humanity, regenerate ecosystems, and cultivate a lasting human culture. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you. So great to be here.
Yes. Please share your story with us.
I'd love to. So I'll start with try to be a little bit brief here, but it is a little longer. So from Michigan, moved to Minnesota after college, had a 10-year career with General Mills, where we met, obviously, Ifat, and had a very blessed career there. Was very grateful for the corporate life and what it set me up to do. And then a little over 3 years ago, June of 2022, I kind of had a midlife crisis, spiritual awakening moment, which led me to discover permaculture. I'd never heard the word before, but it kind of led me towards this new route of permaculture and entrepreneurship and kind of finding my soul's path, my heart's desire. So that led me to go down this road. And then in February of last year, so 2024, I left General Mills to become a full-time permaculture entrepreneur. I met my now fiancé, Chanel Smith, who's also a permaculturist. So I met her through our work originally. That quickly became a love story. And then so now we run our permaculture business together. And then also through that journey of entrepreneurship, more doors opened up along the way. So I ended up at Eden Energy, which is a company that converts waste into regenerative assets. And then also Chanel and I ended up with Neighborhood Forest, this beautiful purpose-driven nonprofit that gives free trees and edible plants to children. And now we're getting our Airbnb rental permaculture experiences going as well. That's kind of our fourth wheel of the entrepreneurship that we're in the process of starting right now. And I live in Arkansas with Chanel and her 7-year-old son.
Wow. That's a cool story, cool background, Alex. I think you've got a different background than all of the other guests that we've had so far on our podcast. I'm curious, if you look back to your early days, your life in Michigan even, how well would you say those plans that you had for yourself lined up to what you're actually doing right now?
They've been very good. It's been a blessed life, honestly, blessed journey. And I've been in the right place at the right time. And like when I was at, early in the career at General Mills, I loved it. I was so passionate about it. I was a packaging R&D engineer. And I really enjoyed my time there. But as I started to, my worldview and just me as a person started to evolve, I kind of started to move away from that, which led me to then permaculture. So, along the way, I'd say it's been aligned. The kind of part where it was starting to get not as aligned was towards the end of my time at General Mills, but that's because I knew I was heading out in this new direction. I've been blessed to kind of get a march along to the right beat of the drum.
kind of building on that a little bit and on the theme of success. So kind of as you were progressing, how did your definition of success changed, and what is it now?
Great question. I'll start with what is it now. So it's, kind of fundamentally being able to provide for myself and my family. But then beyond then, waking up every day and loving what you do. So, getting to love what I do and then making an impact. And then so those are kind of, I think, some of the fundamentals. And how it's changed over time. I think it's veered a lot more towards being heart driven. So, when I was in my younger days, success might have more been the career, the accomplishments at work, the tangibles, and not that those don't matter and not that those aren't still success, but the intangibles now are I'd say more so driven of, truly making sure I'm living a life that I believe in and that I feel inspired to do, and that I, am making an impact and trying to make the world a better place.
That has been a very consistent theme from many of our guests. I think the shoulds, as you would say, start to become less, and the what's drawing you forward and what's pulling at your heart and what's pulling at your mind, and where do you want to spend your resources later in life. The older you get, the more experience you have, the more you realize what's important to you, the more you're drawn into that new definition of success. That has been a very consistent theme. If you could look back on your life and point to a pivotal decision that you made, Alex, is there one that stands out for you that you would say, that one really changed the direction or the course of my life?
Yes, there's been two. One was when I went, I just went to a spiritual retreat, not being spiritual, not really know what I was looking for, just knowing I needed to find something, knowing I needed a spark, I needed some change in my life to kind of try something different. That's what kind of led me towards, where I am now. That was June of 2022. And then leaving General Mills for sure was the next one. Because, obviously it takes, a lot of faith to leave a very stable, good career behind, to go and have no salary, no benefits, no insurance, any of that on your own, unless you provide it for yourself. So that was a very, fundamental inflection point, of course, but it led to so many opportunities I never would have dreamed of before. So it obviously was the right decision. And even though it was hard to leave that security behind, in my heart, I knew it was the right move. So that did make it easy. And then just having, faith along the way has certainly helped. Helped immensely.
Alex, I think your description of leaving a stable corporate job is one that I know both Ifat and I can relate to, as well as several of our guests who have made the decision to leave that kind of comfy, cushy corporate environment that provides the stability and the financial means that we used to define as success. And then it sounds like there was a point where you just said, hey, this isn't for me. This isn't what I necessarily want to be doing for the rest of my days, my career. What do you think gave you the courage to make that decision? Or did it feel courageous to you? I'm making an assumption. I guess I shouldn't. Did it feel courageous to you to walk away from General Mills?
It did, but fundamentally I knew so strongly that like what my path was. Kind of like I discovered my path of like my purpose, and it was permaculture, and it was specifically like founding this business PermaCulture Party to start. So I knew that I would say, of course, it does take courage to leave that behind, because it was it's a great company, it's a great place to work, there's no doubt about it. But I think just the fundamental fire I had to know that it kind of was my destiny to do so and to go on that path made the decision a lot easier than it might have otherwise been. Mm-hmm. And it helped a lot to have 10 years of, 401k and 10 years to build stability. Like there's no doubt that helped a ton. Yes. So it did give me a good head start and cushion to take this journey.
Yeah. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alex, what was the role that mentors played kind of throughout your career? Did they have a role in kind of impacting some of these decisions? So how did you go about it? Tell us a little about your mentors.
They have, and I've sought mentors throughout my life. I think that the first ones that come to mind is just family, of course. Like rock star parents, couldn't ask for anything better. Older brother who I could look up to and emulate, and just very blessed extended family and friends as well. But then throughout careers, like at General Mills, I latched onto a few, like John Rebhorn and Tony Gaylor. Like I latched onto a few mentors early on, and that really helped and helped me there. And then in permaculture, same thing. I latched on to his name's Graham. He lives in Michigan. And he, right away, actually, I hired him to design a food forest in my yard when I was looking to get into permaculture. And I was like, I'll hire you if you mentor me. So that worked out. And now Chanel, my partner, has been practicing permaculture for close to a decade, so much longer than me. So she's a mentor in terms of like literally growing food together, So, and then I actually did a friend from my high school who I hadn't talked to in 10 years, but I just saw through social media. She was a business coach. So I actually reached out to her when I was starting my business too. And she helped a ton with the nuts and bolts of actually, starting a whole business from scratch. So they've been a big part of my life throughout mentors.
Yeah. And it's just now it's occurring to me that we talked about permaculture, but we didn't ask what is it?
It's a great question. Yeah. So, at its core, it stands for permanent culture. So what permaculture is, it's really a framework and a toolbox for an approach to living that enables humans to live in harmony with the earth and harvest natural resources so that we can create a culture that permanently lasts. So it's a principles-based framework, and it covers food, water, energy, waste, community. How do we create circular systems? And at its core, it does cover all those systems, but at its core, food is obviously a fundamental part of it. We need food and water to live. So when people think permaculture, that's usually the first thing that comes to mind. But really, every decision in permaculture, that framework for how you live life is based on 3 ethics. People care, so we care for all of each other. Earth care, we care for everything living in this shared biosphere, this spaceship we call Earth. And then fair share. We fairly share the abundance produced from Earth with our neighbors, with the rest of Earth.
Well, I learned something, definitely. Thank you for asking that question. And Alex, thanks for explaining it in a way that I understand.
I saw it a little bit on LinkedIn, but then I was like, well, our listeners maybe haven't. So thank you so much for sharing it. It is a very inspired kind of mission, and I can see how more of a spiritual awakening can get you that way, because from a packaging engineer to that, I love the transformation and kind of like the that point. So we talked about mentors, we talked about decisions a little bit. Curious about like proudest moment, 1 or 2 proudest moment of your life. What made it so?
Yeah, I 2 that come to mind. One is proposing to Chanel, which is kind of an easy one, but that was a culmination of just us both. If you rewind a few months before we met, we both were just praying for each other, like literally, and it's just a very divine coming together, finding the right person. We're both in permaculture, doing similar things. So that's just was a beautiful moment, and that was just in September. That was September. Yeah, that was just a month ago. And then the other one was at this festival this summer, Earth Vibe Festival. It was in Wisconsin. And that was a very, it was just incredible manifestation moment of, Chanel and I's vision for permaculture. Of like when I first founded PermaCulture Party, my vision, a vision was that every time we have a festival, we need to have a permaculture party there where we plant a food forest. So that way, when you're at the festival, you're already in this high vibe, enlivening experience. Let's actually put the fruit trees in the ground, put the pollinator flowers, put the strawberries in the ground, and make it a party, a fun and festive party. And our favorite artist, we kind of have 2 favorite artists, Paul Isaac and Tubby Love, who have like really high vibe conscious music. And Paul Isaac was playing live music. He actually has a song called Permaculture. So he was playing live music during that whole permaculture party at that festival, which was like a literal exact to a T vision of manifestation that we've had for close to 2 years. I first like envisioned that before it happened.
This is so great. For people that are interested, we will have some links with the episode of how they can reach you and learn more about it. So listeners, that will be available. And
there's a recap. If you just go to my Instagram or PermaCulture Party's Instagram, you can find recap videos of that exact event I just talked about.
This is great.
So cool. Very cool. I'm learning so much today, Alex. Thank you.
You've
had such an interesting, trajectory on your life, from kind of the standard corporate experience to starting your own business to getting into more of a spiritual living, and being mindset. As you were meandering through this life of yours, did you have any misconceptions about what things would be like leaving General Mills, starting your own company, getting into permaculture, getting engaged, anything? Is there anything that you look back on and say, you know what, I didn't see that coming, or I had another idea of what that would be like than what I've actually experienced?
Yes. One that comes to mind is the concept of scarcity versus abundance, and how it's not only physical, but a mindset, and just a fundamental mindset. So I think that's, what comes to mind, because like through permaculture, I learned very quickly the physical abundance of this world, of how you can turn a completely depleted, lifeless, yard that's full of life, of anything, into a thriving food forest very quickly. And Earth, the sun will always shine. Earth converts sunlight, plants into energy, biomass, food. I mean, it really is magic if you think about it, that you can just put a seed in the ground and grow food. So that abundance just became really clear when I started to learn about and practice permaculture. But then it's a mindset too. And I still go through this on just your average, there can be days where I start to get the scarcity mindset creeps in. But then if you can flip it right away, it really is just a mindset more than anything of, waking up and being grateful for this world, and grateful for this journey we get to live, and that the magical world we live in and how abundant it is, versus the scarcity of, where the bills that got to get paid, and the lack of time, and all these real things that occur. But, trying to really have that fundamental mindset of this world is literally infinitely abundance. The sun is infinite, and it is producing the life this planet needs to sustain, and the water keeps circulating and filtering itself with the water cycle. So really just that mindset, I think, has been a big kind of, you could say, misconception. Just I didn't really have that mindset a few years ago. So kind of shift in mindset.
It's been a theme now that we're hearing more and more from our guests. So 14 people, we've heard more about manifesting around abundance, about the mindset.
Cool.
So yes, I love that. I started looking more and more into that. I think it's a good cure for a very anxious person. So looking forward to learn even more and more about it. So Alex, we heard a lot, and it sounds like there are a lot of things that you are grateful for. Share with us 1, 2, 3 things you're grateful for.
Yeah, every day I try to wake up by first thing in bed with my eyes closed and think of things I'm grateful for. And I mean, everything's kind of the simple answer, but really fundamentally, my family and friends is the root. Like, that's the foundation. So just been very blessed to have a beautiful, loving family, extended, like just they're the core 4 of us, my parents and brother, but then aunts, uncles, a 93-year-old grandma who's still rocking it. And then, a group of really good friends in Michigan, still friends with high school friends. Now I got a Minnesota core group of friends that I know I'll be lifelong friends with. And now I got an Arkansas group. And this is kind of like the family group. So a lot of our friends have kids. So, but yeah, fundamentally, I think that the family and friends are the core. And I could go, and do a lot of other things, but that's really the core.
Yeah. Awesome. It's great to have people around you who support you and you can relate to and be yourself with and all of that. I think that's so huge. You've talked a little bit now about mindset being a really important part of how you wake up every day, and gratitude is another one. We do like to give our listeners some tips. And so you've had such an interesting path in your life. Do you have tips for someone who's either trying to navigate their definition of success or contemplating a change and isn't sure how to get started, or even, hey, I want to get into permaculture. How do I even get started? Do you have any tips or advice that you would give based on your life experience?
For the kind of the career part, I'll kind of start with that. I'd
Career,
say,
even like part of your spiritual. So people that are listening are like, this is interesting. I think I'm feeling similar. Like, what should I do next?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think trying to find like what makes your heart burn is fundamental and you can make this as spiritual or as scientific as you want, but just like why did the spiritual is like why did your soul come to this planet? The more grounded is just what is your purpose? Like what is your heart's desire? So like if you can find that, that's very fundamental, and then find a path to get there. And it doesn't necessarily have to be career. Some people, it is their career, but others, it's what they do outside of their career, and it's what they do. There's a million different things to do that fulfill you. So that's an initial one, is just really seeking that. A very simple like meditation is a timeless technique, just for anyone who's looking to tap into, whether you call it spiritual or just stillness and the ability to receive, because like we're antennas, right? I mean, we receive from the universe, and meditation really allows that your antenna to tune in so that you can just get that intuition, those downloads that just come, like the ideas. Where do they come from? Who knows? The ether. But when you meditate, that helps receive that. And then if you are looking to kind of leave your career, take a leap of faith, have a plan, and then have faith. And just know your fundamentals, like what is your cash flow? I mean, how much buffer do you have? I mean, know the nuts and bolts before you just do something crazy. But, and then if you're looking to get into permaculture, there's a lot of great ways. So like when I'm happy to talk, you can just set up time. If you go to permaculture.party, you can set up time. But there's so much free resources out there. So if you just, go buy a permaculture book or just start watching some videos on YouTube. Andrew Millison is an amazing educator. He's all over YouTube. He has really inspiring videos. He's a good one to start with. And then if you want to kind of take a next step, you can take a permaculture design course. And they're a lot of times they're online. They're 72 hours online, or you can do them in person, like over a week or two. And they really help teach you the fundamentals of permaculture and that whole mindset.
Those are great tips. Thank you for sharing those. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna learn more about this. I am intrigued. You've opened my eyes to a space that I'm not very familiar with. So thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us. When we started this podcast, I thought that you'd be a great guest after kind of like your career and really transformation. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Tina, partner in crime. For listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode. Please share with anyone who you think might find this inspiring, and join us next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you for joining us on Success Your Own Way. We hope you found this episode inspiring and took away actionable insights. Please tune in for our next episode. And if you know someone who is rethinking what success looks like in their life, please share this episode with them.